What is transfer of learning? Transfer of learning is when an individual transfers what they have learned in one context to affect learning and performance in a new situation. In this presentation, we'll be talking about four major types of learning transfer: near, far, low road, and high road. Near transfer is when two skills or situations are similar and a logical overlap can be seen. For example, a student can apply what they have learned answering questions for homework to an exam. Whereas in far transfer, it can be more difficult to see the direct correlation between two tasks. One example would be someone applying a strategy they have learned in chess to achieving success in business. Two other types of transfer are known as high road and low road transfer. Low road transfer occurs when two situations are sufficiently similar that a well-developed semi-automatic response is triggered. In contrast, high road transfer requires a mindful abstraction and creative application of skills learned to a new and different context.
The ability for students to effectively transfer the knowledge and skills they learn in their class is crucial for them to be successful in their lives. So it raises an important question: what factors can help or hinder the transfer of learning for our students? The following is a list of some of the most well-documented and tested factors that can help or harm the transfer of learning. Perhaps the most crucial component for effective transfer is the importance of mastery of learning. Mastery of learning requires that one has acquired and internalized a given concept so that it's been completely understood. Understanding means more than just memorizing facts and procedures. It implies that they have a full grasp of the underlying principles of a given concept or task. Only students who fully understand the concept will be able to apply it effectively to new situations. A key factor that helps students achieve mastery in their learning is by providing them with ample time and opportunities to learn the new concept. To achieve mastery, learners must devote a significant amount of time recognizing and memorizing patterns of information, and then be able to analyze it adequately to select and execute an appropriate response. The complexity of the task being learned and the unique capabilities of your students will influence how much time they will need to develop mastery. Students need to be motivated to invest the time and effort that is required for true learning. Students can be motivated extrinsically through the receiving of rewards and punishments, or intrinsically from their own personal drive for accomplishment. Teachers can make use of both to help push their students. Successful teachers use a variety of methods to accomplish this, from initiating inspirational and interesting conversations to designing of social and engaging learning activities. Students are more often motivated to learn when they know what they are learning will be useful to them outside in the real world. Therefore, teachers should establish and reinforce the connections between the concepts and skills students are learning in class to those in their everyday lives. Just because you learn something in one context does not mean you can apply it effectively to another. How able people are at applying their learning to new contexts depend on how they learned it in the first place, and is therefore something teachers can influence. For example, when teaching new concepts, it is important not to attach too much context to the knowledge that they are learning. Instead, make sure to frame the information in as many different situations as possible. For example, when teaching about ratios, you might ask students when they use or see ratios in their non-school life. They may reply when they bake, convert money, or play sports. By connecting their learning to these different contexts, you increase the chance that it is more easily transferred in new situations. This is often referred to as flexible learning. Metacognition is a form of high-level thinking that involves taking active control over one's cognitive processes. Metacognition includes regulating your emotions, planning for goal completion, and assessing and evaluating your comprehension. Students who learn to develop these self-monitoring strategies have more success in transferring their learning because their increased self-awareness allows them to be more independent and critical thinkers. Educators can help students learn how to develop metacognition by instructing them on how to plan goals, use self-questioning as a cognitive monitoring strategy, and self-evaluate based on your past and present performances. A student's prior knowledge and cultural background can either help or hinder their learning and their ability to transfer it to new contexts. Take learning new languages as an example. In both French and Spanish, each noun has a gender which affects the spelling of any adjective that helps to describe it. A native French speaker might therefore find it easier to transfer their knowledge of French grammar to that of Spanish, and vice versa. Conversely, the prior knowledge of English speakers may impede learning French. Take adjective placement as an example. In the English language, adjectives precede the noun, where in French they usually follow it. These examples demonstrate that it is important for teachers to ask students about their prior knowledge and cultural experiences and discuss how they may impact their current learning and understanding.
In teaching for transfer, one must consider the learners, the learning environment, and the instructional design. Learners enter our classrooms with different backgrounds, experiences, and levels of understanding. As highlighted earlier, these aspects are important because a child's prior knowledge is impacted by these factors and new learning evolves through transfer of the previous knowledge. An optimal environment for transfer to occur is one that makes the learning visible, engaging, and interactive. Pictures and posters that illustrate concepts are necessary. Graphic organizers applied across lessons and content are also useful as they help to bridge the connections. Students benefit from activities that allow them hands-on experiences and occasions to discuss and externally process their understandings with others. They need opportunities to activate prior knowledge and tap into their metacognition. Feedback offered in a learning environment also profits students and their level of understanding. This feedback may come from the teacher and/or their peers. Furthermore, placing students in authentic learning situations promotes transfer. When the knowledge to be acquired is presented in a useful and meaningful way, the impact on learners and the motivation to learn is high. Other activities such as jigsaw, peer teaching, collaboration, discussion groups, scaffolding, and modeling keep the learning environment active and dynamic. Additionally, technology can be a great support to the learning environment for transfer as it offers visuals, simulations, and other tools that resemble real-world contexts. Some new technologies and their impact on learning transfer will be discussed in a later section. When designed well with purpose, variety, and activity, the learning environment can support the transfer of learning. While transfer can take on many forms, the transfer of attitudes, behaviors, cognitive strategies, knowledge, and skills, Perkins and Solomon, two educational researchers in this field, developed a model for teaching transfer that focuses on the latter three forms. In their research, they identified two kinds of transfer that happen in learning, low road and high road. They also suggest two techniques that can be applied in teaching to these transfers, hugging and bridging. The first is hugging, commonly associated with the low road transfer or near transfer. It involves designing instruction to stimulate resemblance conditions or to trigger a response in students based on what they have previously learned. Using this technique, teachers can explicitly teach and ask students to look for connections to other learning. Having students participate in authentic learning activities, simulations, and modeling exercises will also reinforce the hugging transfer. An example of this transfer in math class would be students engaging in activities like shopping or banking to practice computation skills and money concepts, which simulate real-world application. Bridging is the second technique, and it involves consciously abstracting a concept or skill from a situation and then applying it to other contexts. It is applied to the high road transfer or far transfer. Similar to hugging, this too can be taught explicitly by the teacher as students are asked to consider where a skill or concept may be applied elsewhere. Through bridging, students learn to generalize concepts, make analogies, problem solve, and reflect over their learning. An example of bridging can be seen in the teaching of the concept of cause and effect. As students learn and master the principles behind it, they can apply the concept to future problems, contexts, or subject matter. Learning transfer can occur when educators consistently and purposefully plan with transfer in mind. At the beginning, it is valuable for teachers to plan out what forms of transfer they are seeking in their students, and then shape the learning environment and instruction to hug and bridge the desired transfer. Perkins and Solomon propose that not only do the principles of transfer apply to teachers, but students can also be taught the skills of transfer, how to hug and bridge, to use on their own. Helping students to see how transfer can be useful across unit topics, subjects, and real-world application, and then giving them practice to develop the skills of transfer, will aid them in their journey as lifelong learners.
How can technology be used to facilitate positive transfer in students? Gamification, interactive video, and augmented reality have become popular mediums for app and software design. A wide variety of these technologies have become increasingly user-friendly and are either free or affordable. These technologies provide opportunities for educators to meet students' needs in meaningful ways that support positive learning transfer. For example, there are a variety of these apps and softwares which are designed to enable users to become active participants in their own learning through focusing on understanding concepts and processes rather than memorizing facts. In addition, these technologies motivate users to devote extra time towards learning through the use of intrinsic and extrinsic rewards, social opportunities, and learning that is applicable to real-life scenarios. Lastly, built-in assessment features support students to become metacognitive learners by reflecting on their choices and provide teachers with valuable data that can be used to uncover prior knowledge, address misconceptions, and provide frequent feedback that support positive learning transfer. What are some examples of these apps and softwares that can be used to support positive learning transfer in the classroom? Perhaps the most popular gaming environment is Minecraft. Described as a first-person sandbox game, Minecraft motivates and enhances student engagement through creative and open-ended tasks. It provides opportunities for teachers to tap into students' enthusiasm through using the game-based environment to facilitate meaningful connections across multiple curriculum areas, such as literacy, numeracy, history, and science. For example, while building structures, students could explore 3D shapes, ratios, and proportions while creating scale models. Perhaps these structures might be connected to a historical time period that will need consideration. Geology and literacy can be integrated while students classify, record, and explain their decisions around which materials were utilized for building. Set in a Renaissance-era virtual world, Radix Endeavor is an engaging multiplayer online game designed for high school students where players complete quests that are tied to curriculum content areas in biology and math. In addition to building knowledge in content areas, Radix provides opportunities for students to engage in authentic tasks while practicing broader processing skills used by mathematicians, scientists, and engineers. Built-in assessment features offer feedback directly to students that scaffolds their problem-solving processes so that they can reevaluate their strategy. Teacher tools track players' strategies, progress, and potential misconceptions so that instruction can become tailored to target specific needs.